So welcome back to our second session of Microbit Pets. And I'm Grace from Science World, and we have wonderful Nate with us. He is the District Learning Coordinator from SD20, and we're just going to dive right in. So make sure you open makecode.microbit.org. I will slot that into the chat for you. So click on that and I will share my screen so you can see what I'm looking at. So we're going to use your microbit and play kind of tug of war on it. So basically you will press button A or button B. And as you press the buttons, the LED light in the middle will toggle and move towards that direction. So the more that you press A, the more the center of the LED light will move towards that direction. And the more that you press B, it'll move towards that direction. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to create, you can just click and drag your blocks to the side because we don't need these ones just yet. And we're going to make a new function. So this function, you can access that by pressing the advanced button because you're all advanced now. You're in session 2. So press this and press functions. So the first blue box and press make a function. So in here, it says do something. You're going to type in paint. And once you have that, press done. Everybody good so far? Can you give me a thumbs up or a smiley face? Awesome. Anybody need me to repeat the instructions again? Everyone looks like everyone's on it. Perfect. So the first block we're going to add is actually a clear screen, just because we want to make sure that after you change the LED, it cleans off the screen. So just add clear screen. So that's in basic and right here, clear screen. So click that and drag it out and attach it. Then we're going to go into the LEDs. So purple. So this will make it light up on the board. We're going to plot X and Y, the first one, and drag that in there. So this sideways is the X axis and the up and down is the Y axis. So what we want to change here is the X axis. And that will be the score, okay? So we're going to actually go and make a variable called score. So how do we do that? In the variable section, so it's red, click on that and press make a variable. And here you're going to type in score. So you'll see a bunch of these, and we want to drag out just this small kind of oval shaped one score and drag that into X here. We're not going to do anything to Y because we're not actually going to make him move up and down at all. We're just making him move from side to side, and that's your X axis, and that's your score. Because the closer it gets to A, if you also hover your mouse over top, you will see the different coordinates, which will help us in a bit. So now we're going to make things a little bit tricky, and we're going to add a logic button. So in logic here, we're going to drag out the second block, if true, then else, and attach it to the bottom here. So we want it to say, hey, as I move this light over this way, I want you to change the score, or actually, sorry, when you press the button A or B, it's going to change the score. But eventually, the light might hit a point on the right-hand side or the left-hand side, right? And you want that to show, hey, that person has won. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into logic and grab one of these comparison blocks. 0 equals to 0. So drag that and it should fit right into there. Notice that this shape, this kind of diamond shape, fits in perfectly right there. Just snap that in. So right now you have if 0 equals to 0. We're going to change it to if score. So go back to your variable, drag score out into the first part. So if the score is, I'm going to say less than or equal to, and I want you to tell me if you think we need to change this number right here. So if you hover your mouse over the simulator on your screen, you'll look at the coordinates there. So the LED is going to start at the center right here. X is 2, Y is 2. So if we move this way, the X coordinate becomes 1. And the Y isn't changing because we're moving on the same, we're moving on X, so X will change, but Y does not change. Does that make sense? Okay, so then if we move over again, one more towards A, the coordinate here says 0, 2. So if it moves one more, it should probably be, what do you think? You can type that into the chat. Do you think it'll be negative 100, negative 5, 0, negative 1? What do you think would be a good number that pops up? Nate,
So
do we have any
Grace,
responses?
I just not yet. Can you just show how you drag that conditional into the if block there,
Yep,
and then show how you put the variable inside of it? Just one more time. Someone had a
sure.
question about that.
I sure can. Okay, so in order to grab this beautiful turquoise colored block, you're going to go into logic. It doesn't really actually matter if you grab the first one or the second one. They do the same thing because I'll show you. If I drag the first one out, and if I just want this second section here, I just press the plus button. And so it makes the same block. Okay? So that's how you get if then. So if it hits A, we wanted to show, hey, person A wins. If it shows B, we want to show person B wins. So that's what we're doing right now. In order to drag out the comparison block, you go back into logic. And here in this section comparison, there's 0 equals to 0. You're going to drag this one out and snap that in. The blocks are made so that similar shaped blocks will snap together. So you'll see 2 red dots light up and you can just let go and that will plop right in. All right, so we have this. Now we need to say, hey, if the score is equal to or less than something, I want you to show person A winning, right? So to grab the variable, you go back here in your variable section and grab score. So drag that out and plop that into the first circle right there. So if score is less than or equal to, so what I was trying to get you to think about is what number would that be? If we all start at the middle and the coordinate is 2, 2, and as we move down this way, paying attention to just the first number, it becomes 1, 2, and then this number becomes 0, 2. What would the next number be?
Think about your number lines.
Mm-hmm. we actually, it can just keep as is. Score is equal to or less than 0. Because once it hits this point, we want it to display person A wins. So in order to do that, we just go back into our basic block and we drag out this show string. And here you can type in person or just like A wins. The reason why you don't want to type person, you could, but the text floats along kind of slow. It does letter by letter. So nice to keep it short and sweet. Okay? I can sure repeat that. Sunny, I got you. Okay, so in basic, you're going to go into show string and it says hello here. Don't worry, that just means show text or show this word. So drag that out. And in here, the hello piece, you can change it to whatever you want. Okay. So right now I just have that A wins. So I'm actually going to grab our variable here of set score. We'll drag that out underneath. And we're going to set the score to 2.
Ah, so it's resetting the score.
It is resetting the score. Yeah.
Ah.
So I'm going to drag out a few blocks on the right-hand side here for our second part of, what happens when you press B a lot and then the LED toggle moves over and over? What should it display? So I'll put all the blocks just on the side here, and I want you to play around with it a little bit. You might need to press the plus button. So I'll show you. When you press plus here, it only has else. So it doesn't really allow you to change it to what you want it to be. So you need to press plus again in order to drag over a comparison block. So drag that in there and then press take away. It's okay if you have it there. It doesn't really matter. It will read the code from top to bottom. And if that section's blank, that's not a big deal. So I'm going to leave the blocks on the side, and I want you to try and figure out how to build the second part here. And in like 2-3 minutes after giving it a try, I will help you put it all together.
One thing to think about, you might notice there that Grace on her very top block is using if score is less than or equal to 0. So you'll notice she's using that equal underneath, kind of that less than symbol. Because if you just put less than 0, it's going to go below 0. So you want to make it equal to the 0. So that's a really important thing. Sometimes I get mixed up between like what is less than or less than and equal to. So you want it to be less than and equal to, and that little symbol that she's put there is that. I'm not sure if you've all used that symbol before, but that's what that is showing.
Thank you so much for the quick math lesson, Nate. Really appreciate that.
Little numeracy here and there.
That's right. I'm going to give you a clue. As you're plopping this number in, the score won't be equal to 0 this time. And what I'm going to say is, if you take your cursor and move it along. Oh, nice, Jane. If you move it along to the right, you'll see that the X number changes. So from 2, 2, it becomes 3, 2, then 4, 2. So that's your clue. I wouldn't call myself a coder, but even though I teach coding, I have to practice building the pieces together. And sometimes it doesn't work for me. And I have to go back and fix it and like try different things. And I think it's just because of the way a computer thinks versus how a human brain thinks is not quite the same. We think about a lot of different possibilities, and we take a lot of different things into consideration, but a computer typically will just read from top down. And so you have to be very clear, and there's no, it will just do what it's told, basically. Yay, Sahib and Manjot as
Thank
well.
you. I'm going to click on that one,
Perfect.
see what's going on. I'm looking at all your code, by the way. We all are. Good. Thanks for sharing that. That's great.
So I'm going to walk you through the next step, and you can check if, you're on the right track, or maybe you need to make some adjustments. So we're going to take this nice diamond block and plop that into the else if section. And we're going to put the score in the first circular section. Now here we want to say if the score is greater than or equal to. Because as it moves along the x-axis this way towards the right, like on a number line, your numbers get bigger, right? So here, if we put our cursor on our simulated microbit here, if the middle is 2 and this next one is 3, then the next one is 4. Well, my score must be equal to or greater than 4. So if you did the math right for that, well done. If you didn't, that's okay. You can make some changes now. The next bit is show string. So grab that and plop that in there. Now this will be for person B. So it should say B wins. And if you're actually signing in like Sahib and Manjot, you could technically write like, hey, Sahib is going to be A and Manjot will be B. And you can just write your name in there if you want. So you can customize it. And we're going to, again, drag this last block here, set score. And our score is going to be back at 2, right in the middle, so that you can play again. Okay. Now we're almost there. We're almost ready to actually test it out. The only thing we're missing is pressing the buttons, right? So where do you think, which of these buttons should I press in the basic, in the section, sorry? Which block would allow me to find the blocks that I want? It's not in basic, it's probably not in music, not in LED. Radio, no, won't be using that. We already use logic, and variables won't be those ones. It's not in extensions. You guessed it, it's in input. So grab the first block here, on button A pressed, right there. So when you press A, you want to change the score. Whoops. So right here, change score. Right now it has the score by 1, and that's a bit too much. It's too quick. So we're going to alter that number and actually make it a negative, because remember A, your number becomes smaller and smaller on the number line, right? Because this is 2, then it becomes 1 and it becomes 0. So you're decreasing. So that's why you're using the minus sign. So by 0.2. You could do 0.5 too if you want. And then we're going to call this function here of paint. So back in functions here in the advance, then pressing functions, call paint. How's everyone doing so far? Thumbs up
I think
this
pretty
is good.
good.
Good?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so you're going to do the same thing for button B. So go back into input and click on this on button A pressed again. Oh no, it's gray. Why is it gray? Well, if you're asking the computer to do the same thing twice, it won't be able to do that. So you need to change this to a different button. So you want it to, on the drop down menu here, when you press A, you can choose a different. So when I press B, I want you to show me, I want you to change the score again. And this time it will be a positive. So it will increase by 0.2. It could be 0.5 if you want. You could try 1 as well, but I just find that 1, it happens really, really quickly. But if that's easier, we can start at that. Up to you and your mathematical abilities. I'm happy to try for you to try whatever makes most sense to you. So yes, and then you click on the functions here and you call paint again. And in case for some reason, I don't know, your microbit glitches and stuff, I like to just include an extra one on button AB. Like, let's say someone had a false alarm and pressed it or something. You can ask the microbit to have this option of AB, and then we're going to reset it. So we're going to change the score here to 2, which is right back in the middle, and then we'll call paint again. All right. So I think this is ready for you to try out and play. So we're going to download your code onto your microbit. So I'm going to switch my view here so you can actually see me attach it to my computer. Okay. So you're going to take your microbit and you're going to take the skinny side and plop that in like that. And then sticking that into your USB port, which should be this one right here. It'll look something like that. It's one of the flatter rectangular ones. That doesn't work, right? As you can see, it's not quite fitting. It's okay, just flip it around. And once you kind of see that light on at the back, you'll know that it's plugged in and ready to go. So you can then let me just grab that. Perfect. You can then press the 3 dots here and press if your device is not connected. It might be connected from last time, but if it's not, you go through the process again of pressing next and pairing it. Press pair, and it will show up as BBC microbit. So I'm actually using both a computer and a laptop today, so you won't be able to see me go through that specifically, but make sure you just click on that, kind of like what the picture shows here, and press connect, and you'll be good. So after that, that's just setting up the microbit to the computer. You'll have to press download right after. And some of you might get this, which it'll show as downloaded, and you're just naming the file, and maybe I just press save here. So if that happens, not a problem. What you're going to do is go to your files. So you might see something like this, and your download will be right there in your hex file. So what you do is you click and drag that into the one that says microbit. So right now I have a bunch of other drives here, like Windows C, I have a D drive, I have a Dropbox. So there should be one that says microbit. So you're just going to drag this hex file right onto the microbit there.
Yeah, sometimes the microbit, like when you pair it, it runs smoothly and you can go back and forth between the microbit and your computer. But just as Grace was talking about there, if you see where it just did that screen, you have to drag the .hex file right onto the microbit in the drive. It's just a different way of doing it. It does exactly the same thing, just a bit of troubleshooting sometimes. You have to make it work.
For sure. So I'm actually
And
to
yeah.
go ahead, Nate.
Oh no, I was just gonna say on a Mac, I sent the video out with the process. It's very similar to what you just did.
Yes. So if you wanted to test it out on your simulator, for some reason, let's say your microbit's not working, you can actually try it. So let's say I asked the question, what is better? Hawaiian pizza? So if it's Hawaiian, you press A, or cheese pizza and you press B. Okay. So we're just going to start.
Point
Okay.
two, point
Yep.
two. There
I've
you go.
brought it back. I changed it. So I'm not sure why, but when I did the -1, it didn't. Maybe it's just like really quick. I'm not sure. But I
It might
switched
be.
it back to minus in small portions and it did work now.
Yeah, that works. That works really well.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to test it out and play a small short game. So it's like it's kind of like what would you rather? I feel like that's a very popular game that you may have played before with your friends. So what would you rather? Would you rather swim in the ocean with sharks? And you can press A for that. Or would you rather have your room filled with jello? So that's B. Okay. so pick
You like
one.
paused when you said that. You're like, what's the most
Well,
ridiculous
I
thing
was
I can
like,
think
which
of?
one do I like? I had to really think about that. And I mean, the jello, like you could eat it. That would be fun. And you could bounce around. Um,
Kenneth said B.
love it. I think I might pick B too. So I'm going to pick that. Okay, next question. What would you rather? Ooh, would you rather a room filled with Microsoft products and you can press A, or would you rather a room filled with Apple products and you can
Holy.
press B?
No, luckily we're not sponsored by either.
We're not. I'm gonna press B. I just love Apple.
Do you?
I
I'm
do.
gonna press A because I like
Okay.
Microsoft.
Okay. Nate, can you come up with a what would you rather question?
Sure, yeah. Would you rather jump out of a plane without a parachute, or would you rather jump, um, go on an elevator that went through the top floor?
Oh
That's a bit of a morbid one, but
wow.
sorry. I don't know why I chose that. I was just like, oh yeah. Well, I have dreams about that, about jumping out of planes without parachutes. The elevator one, I've
Okay.
never had a dream like that before though, so
Have
I
you
don't know.
jumped out of a plane before?
Never. I've had dreams about it, but I've never actually done it. I'm too terrified. I like my feet on the ground.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, I guess I'm gonna pick A because you didn't say that I couldn't be attached to like a parachute or like
I said without a parachute, didn't I?
no, so A you said without a parachute, but B,
Oh,
the one that shoots out the building,
oh, I see. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
can add on my safety features. So I'm gonna
You
pick
can.
B.
All right. In the elevator.
Yeah. Okay. If you can think of a what would you rather question, feel free to type it into the chat and we'll for sure
Yeah.
um share it with everyone.
Yeah, I'm getting close to the edge here.
Ah, Joel, good one. He picked sharks because he would rather be with lemon sharks.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
And then, okay, what would you rather? Would you rather eat salad for the rest of your life, A? Or would you rather eat eggs for the rest of your
Oh,
life?
man, that one's easy.
I would pick eggs, B.
Really?
Yes, I love eggs. Joel is on
Oh,
my side. Yes,
no
team
way. I'm the
eggs.
opposite. I'm like going the other way.
Ooh,
I
okay,
can't
okay.
stand it.
Kenneth's
Yeah.
got a good one. Would you rather be bitten by a spider, A, or stung by any type of bee?
Oh, not a specific type of bee.
But not a specific type of spider either.
Oh, true. Yeah. So it
Um,
could be like a
I
really
think
non-poisonous
I'm
bite?
gonna go with B because I've had that experience and it's not great, but then it's like
Yeah.
it's short. It's short and not sweet, but yeah, I'm gonna go B.
Um, my wife actually got bit by a ladybug once and she had to go to the hospital.
What?
No, I'm not kidding. She got bit by a ladybug. There's certain ladybugs that have a very venomous bite, and she had to go to the hospital because her legs swelled up so much. I know, weird, right?
Jane also got bit by
You
one.
got bit by see?
And
Jane
she said it
happened to
was
Jane
orange.
too. Oh, was it? Yeah, Jane. There's like ladybugs. Just don't pick them up,
Okay,
right, Jane? Jane knows.
would you rather have orange juice
Hmm.
for the rest of your life, A, or would you rather have apple juice for the rest of your life, B? I'm an
Hmm.
orange juice type of person, so I'm gonna go
Are we
A.
talking
Oh
like
yeah.
Tropicana, Fresh Squeeze, Minute Maid? There's a lot of questions I've got here.
Okay. Well, I'm a Tropicana type of girl, but like you can have whatever flavor you like.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm going
Lots
with
of
orange
orange
juice.
juice lovers. Yes,
I think
Joel.
people like orange
Yes,
juice better
honey.
than apple juice generally. I
Maybe
mean, I
because
don't
we
know.
all drank a lot of apple juice as a kid. I don't know.
Oh, just that like cheap sunripe apple juice. I like grew up on it.
Exactly. And like I felt like my parents gave that to me when I was like not feeling well or something. Yeah. I
Oh,
don't
so
know.
true. A. Everyone's A on that one. There's like
Everyone's
no one
juice.
said.
Okay, would you rather go skiing inside a cave, A, or um or would you rather go mountain biking on top of a ridge?
Uh, skiing in a cave. Like that's not you can't turn very well. Don't you think?
Well,
And
you
then
gotta
mountain
have
biking on a
really
ridge,
good
like
balance on the ridge. I'm gonna go A.
okay, yeah.
Ooh,
That's
we got
true. I
another
got
one.
we're done. Yep, Kenneth has one.
Yeah, Kenneth, would you
Kenneth,
rather
you're
be
good.
eaten
Yeah.
by a shark or jump out of a building? um,
It's another
well,
morbid one, just like
it is
mine.
another morbid one, but I feel like jumping out of a building, you could be doing some stunt action type of movie play, and that might be kind of cool to jump on a mega trampoline. I'm gonna go B on that one. Great proposal there, Kenneth.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you got some good ideas. A plus B.
Jane, you're resetting the whole thing.
Maybe
Love
she
it.
wants both. I know, right?
Okay,
Jane doesn't
so
know which one
as
to
you can
choose.
see, like as you keep playing, right, and go through the different questions,
Yeah.
and if you keep pressing a particular button over and over again, you're going to eventually land on one side and that wins. So like that's tug of war for you or tug o LED.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's got some good maths in there and some good coding and variables and functions. It's a full on, yeah. That's a good
It's a
comp sci.
busy one and
Yeah, that's
you all
okay.
followed along really, really well. So well done. Well done.
Mm, mm-hmm.
All
Could you
right.
play it? You can give it over to me now. Could you play that as like you just tap it as fast as you can to get to one side?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I guess you could play it that way too, right?
Just like
That's another.
have a tug of war, literal tug of war in
A
class.
literal, like, virtual tug of war, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to this code right here that Grace has, for you, sorry, I'm just gonna move it around. I want you to keep that code because that is awesome. I want you to, jump out into the click the microbit button in the top left corner up here. What we'll do, everyone, is, I'm gonna show you the code first, and then we're gonna hook up the RGB LED, which is this, oh, sorry, you can't see me, but the little, LED that you have hooked into your microbit. So what I'd like you to do right now, make sure you have your, 4 crocodile clips, which are the little clips, that we gave to you, and they're all kinds of different colors. Have those, and then also have your LED, which is that little kind of circle thing like that. Yeah, Grace is kind of holding them up for you on the top bar there, so you can see what she's talking about. Okay, so once you have those, just put them on the side, and we're going to go through some code to kind of get used to this. So I want you to click on New Project, and I'm going to call my project RGB, red, green, blue, because that is what we are going to be using to make the different colors in our kind of color nose or whatever it is for your project that you're working on. So RGB is mine. I'm going to click on create. And of course, whenever we create something, it gives us our blank canvas with absolutely, well, not nothing in it, but it has our start and our forever block. So for this one, I don't think we're going to use the forever block. So I just want you to grab your forever block over here and I want you to trash it. And I think we'll start with our start block. Now, a really, really handy way to start off with microbit is to always put some kind of image inside the start block. And the reason you do that is because when you fire up your microbit and you're pushing the code into it, you'll know your code is working when that image appears. So what I want you to do is click on basic right here, just show LEDs, and you can do any image you want. I'm going to do just like since we're doing kind of like a face, I'd like you to make some kind of face here. We're doing like let's do emotions for our pet because we're making some kind of pet or animal. So let's start with emotions. Now, my first emotion, now I know you don't have a lot of squares to work with, but mine is kind of what is it called? Meh, M-E-H, meh, where you like, there's really is no emotion. I guess that'd be more of a flatter mouth, wouldn't it? Like that. That's kind of like meh. There we go. So I'm going to start out with a very kind of blank face on my character. You can see over here on the side, my virtual microbit runs my face. So once we've got that, I'm going to create 3 separate functions. And you're like, oh, functions, that's old news, Nate. I know how to do those. Just come on down here and under our functions button, we should be used to this little FX button by now. And we're working under the advanced tab, which is kind of cool. Come up to the top and click on your make a function button. And of course, it always says do something. The first function we are going to create the color red with. We're going to use our microbit to create the color red on our LED, or sorry, our RGB LED. So click on that and click done. And there's my little red function right there. It's going to hang out at the top. Now you're going to come down to your function again, and you're going to click on make a function one more time. And this next one will be our green function. So green. Oh, not 3 E's, just 2 E's in green. And then click done. So we have our red function, we have our green function, and you guessed it, we have our blue function as our final function. And look, it's got the functions right here. Now, while we're making our final function here, when you actually use a function, it's called calling a function. That is kind of a cool little computer science word to use. So red, green, and blue was my final function. Now, it doesn't matter if you make them capitals or not. It's totally up to you. I'm just doing it to make a point. So there we go. And I'm going to put red, green, and blue. So what you're going to do is once you have this set up like this, we are going to start to put different faces in our different emotions here. Okay. So what you're going to do is click on basic and I want you to grab your show LEDs and our red is going to be our angry face. So let's see, how am I going to make an angry face? So let's go like, I'm going to go like this. Your angry face can be totally different than mine. It does not have to be anything like my angry face. You can totally use mine. If you got a better one than me, shoot your code into the chat there and I'll check it out. But that is going to be my, I guess, upset face because we are going to use the color red and make our LED turn red. And we're going to put a little face on it to make that happen. Okay, next one over. Now, rather than going all the way back to basic and grabbing another face, I'm just going to hold down. Actually, it's not going to let me do Control D. Let me try another way. Can I do a Control C, Control V? I love it. All right. So what you can do is you can hold down Control and hit C on your keyboard, and then hold down Control and hit V, and that will paste um, your block. Now, if you're on a Mac, it might be Command. Sometimes I get confused by Macs, but you can always do that. Now, green, I'm going to associate green with happy. So I'm going to put in, yeah, a happy face. His eyebrows are kind of up, his mouth is smiling, and I've got my red for upset. I've got my green for happy. And the only face I've got left, and I haven't really decided how I'm going to make this one, is my blue face. So, blue, maybe like I'm not having like an awesome day. I'm gonna give it a bit of maybe a frown, but not like the angry eyes, like not like the eyebrows going up like that. Maybe just kind of flat eyes. And then, I'm not super happy, so I'm just gonna kind of put blue. So we've got our red face, our green face, and our blue face. If you are following along and you're feeling like I've got this, Nate, this is easy stuff, just put a thumbs up in the chat up on top, and we are going to get into a little bit more difficult stuff here in a second. So here we go. What we are going to do now is we are going to program our, Sunny gave me a thumbs up. That's awesome. We are going to program our light. Now, to do this, we're going to use something called an analog pin. And you're like, what are you talking about, Nate? That sounds really confusing. So in your microbit over here, you have pins, pin 0, pin 1, pin 2. These 3 pins right here. And you can push current out of these pins. So I can push current out of pin 0, I can push current out of pin 1, I can push current out of pin 2. Now, that's awesome. You need to make sure when you push the current out that it is grounded. So you have to have some kind of wire coming out of here, and it has to loop around and connect to ground. So to do that, we are going to push out a current out of 0 here first, and 0 is going to be our red. So what I want you to do, we're going to come down to a pin here that you have not used before. And if you come all the way down to the bottom, there is under advanced, there is a circle called pins right here. If you click on it, it will open up a crazy big thing here, and you'll be like, what is going on? This is really confusing. But you only have to worry about one pin. And this is the, sorry, not one pin, one block. This is the block we are going to use. So it's the 4th block down, and it says analog write pin P0 to 1023. Sounds confusing, but we're going to use that one. So grab it out, and what I'd like you to do is I'm just going to kind of move my code over here so you can see what I'm doing. I want you to put that pin, or sorry, that block into your function red. And I want to make sure you're using pin 0. All right. So pin 0, we're going to push a whole bunch of current to pin 0. 1023 is as much as we can push out. Okay. That is like the highest amount we can push. You can see there is a value all the way along here. And there is a reason why that is 1023. I'm not going to get into that right now, but maybe in a more advanced lesson, we can talk about that. Now, what I want you to do is once you've got that, I want you to right click it and duplicate it. And you're going to make a second one. And you're going to plunk that one in. And then you're going to right click again. And then you're going to make a third one. Now, here is the trick. Out of pin 0, I am pushing current out of, and it's going to hit the red little circle on your RGB LED. And when Grace is going to come back in a bit, and we're going to show you how to hook this thing up. But let's get our code going first. So what I want you to do is P1. That's your second pin. This one's going to go into our green pin, and then this one's going to go into our blue pin. So I want you to type in P1, and I want 0 current going to P1. So P0 has all the current coming out of it. P1 has nothing coming out of it. And you guessed it, P2 has nothing coming out of it. So what this is going to do is when I call the function red, it's going to fire all the current out of 0, and it's going to light your LED up as red. You can't see it right now, but we'll make it work in a minute here. So Now, coming over here, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I want to light up the P1 pin right here, and I want to light it up as green. So I'm wondering if anyone, I'm going to give you just a minute, if anyone can figure out how I would make the code right here. I'll say that again. I want the P1 to light up. I want that to be the only one to light up with current because I'm going to turn things green. So let's see if anybody can figure that out by yourself. You can shoot the code over to me in the chat if you want to. And I'll just wait a minute here before I actually put the code in because I want to see if anybody can figure that code out by themselves. Keep in mind that you don't want any current going to pin 0 and you don't want any current going to pin 2. Pin 1 is the one we want to be firing all the current down when we call the green function right here. I'm wondering if anyone's figured that out yet. I'll just wait another 30 seconds here and kind of just hang out. And just going to come over here to the side, make sure I've got my chat open. And okay, so let's figure out this next part. So all you're going to do is you're going to right click and duplicate, and you're going to put another 3 blocks into this next one right here. Pin 0, pin 1, and pin 2. So it's exactly the same as this. This one is pin 0. So P0 is 0. P1 is full current, so current shooting down here, and P2 is nothing. So green only has current coming out of P1, which is this one right here. All right. If you've got that code, let's see if you can figure out the blue function, which is, you can kind of see by the 2 other pieces of code what the blue function might be. I only want current coming out of pin 2, which is right here. Okay, so you can collapse the functions. So if you click on this little arrow here, you can actually make your functions nice and small if you're feeling like, it's just too big. So let's right click. Let's put our code in here. Let's right click. Actually, I can just right click here. I can duplicate and make it even easier on myself. 0, 0, and this final code, final pin is 1023. So blue should only fire current out of pin 2. I'm going to leave this up here for a minute. I'm going to come back to the chat. Sorry, I'm jumping between different screens here. And yeah, while you're waiting for me, and if you've got this code ready to go, you can totally go into your music button and you can add a little sound that the animal will make when it's angry. And you can add a little sound the animal will make when it's happy. And I'm going to duplicate this code, and you can add a little bit of sound that the animal will make when it is, well, sad. If I drop the frequency here, it gives me more of like a sad sound. So actually, I'm gonna grab this piece of code right here. This is actually something I haven't talked to you about. When you grab code, it pulls all of your code out. Like it pulls every single piece of code out. That is really no good sometimes. If you hold down Control on your keyboard and pull the code out, it will pull the code out one by one, which is very handy. I want to use this in my sad code. And I'm going to bring this back over and I'm going to find a happy. Oh, sorry, this is angry. This is my angry sound. Let's see, what would be an angry sound? Laser, radio, jump, water drop. Good. Water drop is kind of cool. Let's see here. Does anybody have any good sounds that they have set up? Sunny, how do you, can't find the music code. So sorry, the music code is right here. It's up on the top and it's under where the little headphones are. And you come all the way to the bottom and there's this thing called play sound. It's like this weird gray bar here. I think we did this. We might have done it last time. And then you just pull that code out. That's your music code right there, right here. Okay, I am going to move along. And is everyone okay with me moving along? I don't want to leave anyone behind or get anyone, I don't want to lose anybody. So I'm just going to move ahead here. So what we need to do is once you've got all this code set up, these functions are awesome, but they don't do anything right now. The functions just sit there. they don't actually run anything at all. So what you need to do is come down to the bottom, and what we're going to do is we are going to run it with a new kind of thing. Now, your microbit has a sound sensor in it. It actually has a microphone in it. So what you can do is under the input right here, and sorry, I'm going to make this bigger. You can't see it very well. I'm going to scroll, click on input, come all the way down, and there's this under microbit version 2, which is the microbit that you have. There's this thing that says on loud sound. This means when it hears a loud sound, it's going to run some code. So grab this one out that says on loud sound and just put it right here. And I would guess that if I was an animal, if I heard a really loud sound, I probably wouldn't be too happy. So I'm going to bump out here. I'm going to come up. So I'm going to, when I hear a loud sound, or you can, quiet sound, not really. I don't think animals are angry when it's a quiet sound. I'm going to, when I hear a loud sound, I'm going to I'm going to call the function red. Now I'm going to come down to function, and you can see here are all my functions, and I'm going to call the red function right here. So I'm going to bring it in and just kind of plunk it in there like that. So on a loud sound, I'm going to turn my LED, my RGB LED, a red color, because what it's going to do, it's going to shoot out current to the 0 pin and fire up that red light. All right, come over here, and for these two, I'm going to use regular old, I mean, you can use shake too. You can like shake your, you can shake your microbit. I don't know if that that probably doesn't make an animal very happy, but I'm going to just use regular old buttons just to test things. So when I press the A button, because it's nice and simple, I am going to come down to my function, and I'm going to call my green function, which is my happy uh, symbol and my happy sound, and it's going to run the green light because it's going to push current out from P1, which is that one right there. And finally over here, I am going to finally run my button B pressed. And you'll notice, if you recall, this won't work because it's two of the same thing. So you have to change it. And I'm going to finally come down to my functions, and I'm going to call my blue function when that runs right there. So give me a second here. I'm going to line these all up. Hopefully you can all see. I'm going to back out a little bit so you can see my code a little better and try and make it a little bit neater for you. Don't want anyone to get lost in this part because it's a little bit more difficult here. All right, so to recap, before we hook up all of our hardware, we have our LED here. We have the function called red, which fires out to pin 0. We have green, which fires out to pin 1. And we have blue, which fires out to pin... Oops, I made a mistake. Look at this. No one called me on it. Oh my goodness. Look, I am running all of these out to pin 0. This is actually a very common mistake, and I've made it. You want to make sure they are not all pin 0. Pin 0, pin 1, and pin 2. These have to be set to the correct pins. Otherwise, it will just all run on pin 0 and nothing will work at all. Okay, let's come back, and I'm just going to kind of sit here for a second. So I'm going to wait just 2 minutes. You're more than welcome to add some more like sound into it, or maybe you can add an animation into the face. Like you could run like a happy face and then duplicate it and run it with like, I don't know, uh, like an open mouth face or something. I don't know. There you can do some animations, and we worked on those yesterday. I'm not going to get into that. And let's call green on A button, and let's call my blue on B button. I think that should be pretty good. The loud sound one, we'll see how that actually runs. And ooh, look at this, Grace. I showed everyone this. My P0, P0, P0. That was not good. I should have left that as a troubleshooting one, actually.
Oh,
How do
so
you make the code
and
small?
then
Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
yes. I will totally show you that. Give me 1 second. To make the code smaller, there is a tiny little minus sign way down on the bottom down here. And you click it and you can make the code so small you can't even see it. Or you can zoom in and make it so big that you can't see much of it. So either or you can use that. Okay, sorry there, Grace. I think that should be an updated version of my code, which should hopefully run
Yeah.
reasonably well. So yeah, cool. And Grace is now going to walk you through how to hook up your microbit to that wonderful LED that we've been
Yes.
talking about.
All right. So technically speaking, you should have your microbit and your USB plugged in. You've done that part a few times now. And even though I've done it a few times, sometimes it doesn't quite pop in smoothly. So don't fret. And hopefully you all made your animals. I would love to see your creatures. Yeah, at some point. But first, I'm going to send the code over. So I'm going to do the connecting device, kind of just following the prompt. Okay, and I'm going to download this code. So as you can see on the screen, you should see the microbit face and it will say downloading and it's kind of from a scale and it'll move towards completion. And as it's going, you can see that my microbit is flashing. That's because the code is kind of a bit more complex. There's some light, there's some images, and there's some music as well, and some different inputs. So it'll take a little bit. So once it's done downloading, it will show downloaded and it's ready to go. So right now, as you can see, my microbit has this face here, which is the starting one that we made, the meh face. And we're going to attach the cords. So the alligator clips. Oh, it's sad. I press
already? We haven't even done anything with it yet.
Because I'm talking really loudly, so it's
Oh, yeah.
Remember? The sound.
Yeah, it's true. The
sound
sound
is a tricky one.
It is. You're right.
But it's okay. It will eventually not be so upset. You're going to grab your alligator clips and you're going to connect the pieces. Now, it doesn't matter what color your alligator clip is. I'm using black right now. If you want to think about electricity wise, it technically should be ground, but so I'll stick one here. But in my package, I got white, red, and another black. So
oh, did you? Two black. Okay.
So I'm gonna do black for ground and black for 0, I guess. And then I will do white for pin 1 and red for pin 2. Okay, so it looks like that. Now my other part, just like a bunch of cords, right? Like that. And the clips right there. So the next bit, I should have my RGB light here, and I'm going to attach it. Okay. So, you said that pin 0 is red.
Pin 0 is red. Yep.
Yep. That's okay. Maybe I'll, for easiness, I'll just do red and red. But it really doesn't matter. It's more, it doesn't matter the color of the cord. It matters that you line up the pins to whichever color. So red to red. I might want to do ground first too. So right now I have just the red plugged in and ground, so it will show red. And because I'm talking so loudly, my pet is really unhappy. So then our next pin that I have plugged in right here is pin 1. And pin 1 for us is making the color green. So as you can see on the microbit, on the RGB LED light, it says red, green, blue. So we're going to connect that, the white one to the green, or pin 1 to green. And then the last one here is our pin 2. And
Grace, could you open up the alligator clip and hold it to the camera? Someone was just asking, how do you open those things up?
So, right here, I'm going to pop it out. Try not to pop it out because if you have the plastic piece on, it's easier to kind of prop it open and pinch it open. But as you can see, it will kind of slide off once it's open quite a bit. So just find the tip here and press down and it should open. And then that one's blue. So I pop my pets. I could pop it sideways as well. Go. Nice. And then on button A pressed, it calls for green. So let's test it out. Oh, maybe I'm talking too loudly. We might want to change that to A and B pressed.
If you press A, does it change it to green though? Maybe re-download your code to reset the pins on it. Or oh, you know what, Grace? Click on the reset button on the back of your microbit. I wonder if that would help. There on the back of your microbit, there's a tiny little button, everyone, and it's a reset button. So it kind of resets your microbit. I don't know if that'll help or not. Is that green or blue?
It's blue. But
Oh,
now
now
that
it's
I'm
red.
talking really loud, it's red.
Okay.
So I'm going to reset the back. The green, for some reason, doesn't stay for a long time.
On mine it stays. If you push it, it stays until I talk. But so what you can do, if yours is having kind of the similar problems to Grace, where the sound is kind of maybe changing it, rather than using on loud sound, you can always change that to press A button and B button at the same time. That might be maybe better because sound can be a bit tricky sometimes. Grace is correct about that.
Re-download. Okay. So I've changed the code so that when I press A and B, as you can see that it's not upset anymore because I've taken out that input. So now I'm going to press button A and technically it should light up green. And when I press B, it would turn blue. And when I press both of them together, it'll turn red. All right, let's take a look. So I'm just gonna try and create some like shadows so that the light allows you to see the actual color. So A should give us green.
Ooh, put your hand over. Yeah, there you go. Now we can see it. Yep. Yeah. That's definitely a nice green. Nice blue. So sad though. And red. Ooh, upset. Perfect.
Thanks.
So those are working well. So as Grace said, with the sound, it can be a bit tricky sometimes. You can actually adjust the sound to pick up a certain amount of decibels, so it changes how loud it is. But sound is always a bit of a tricky one for sure. I wanna share something that where you can take this kind of thing with learning how RGBs work. I made this little. It's a bit hard to see.
Put it in front of your face.
Ah, so as you can see, whenever I speak, it changes the light pattern on the microbit. So what it is, it's a microbit hooked up in the front there, and it's a 3D printed rainbow with a light, a whole bunch of LEDs inside of it. And this was made using just the microbit and very similar to the code that you all have there, just a little bit of extra about making it kind of run back and forth like that. So we put this one, gave this to my daughter for her birthday, and she puts it on her wall at nighttime. And yeah, it's kind of like a nightlight. So you can make stuff like this, and you're all well on your way to learning it already by the work that you've done there on the microbit. It's amazing what you've all created so far. I wish I was learning this stuff when I was that age. Jeez.
Me too.
Man.
All right. Well, I
Hey,
think
cool.
that we finished right on time,
Yep.
and it's probably dinner or supper time for most
Yeah.
folks.
Hmm.
So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for attending our sessions and trying your best at coding. We hope that you continue to code more and keep the learning going.
Don't stop, everybody. This is a big world you've just entered into, and we'd love it to you to keep going. Keep your eyes out for more lessons like these two. We're going to keep doing these series and build bigger and bigger stuff. So keep your eyes open for more sessions with Grace and I having some fun with coding and microbits.